Hello! So today we're going to look at how to make an origami cat. No, not an actual fur cat. Although Zuzu wants to help, we are going to make an origami cat today. So Zuzu, you have to come over here. Let's make a spot for the Zuzu. Should have anticipated that the moment I started talking, the Zuzu would come over. Come over here, sweetie. Yes, come over here. Yep, look, there's a pen to play with. There we go. Alright, we got Zuzu out of the way. Mostly out of the way. Alright, this is a medium level shape, so it's good to know how reverse folds work. If you haven't done reverse folds before, then just go slowly and watch the video a couple times and you'll get the hang of it. But it might be good to start with a crane or one of the other basic shapes if you've never done origami before to get the hang of what we're doing. Sweetie? Alright, apparently I'm going to have to fold around the cat. So start with a square piece of origami paper, or any other paper that's pretty thin and will crease well, and put it upside down on your table. So we're going to fold a diagonal from one diagonal point to the other diagonal point. So just like this, fold it over in half, diagonal to diagonal. And the way I make creases is I slide my fingers down to the middle, and then slide my finger out left, and slide my finger out right. And that gets a nice sharp crease. It'll be important with this to make some good sharp creases so that the shape holds itself. Unfold that. Now we're going to do the same thing on the opposite corner. So fold the diagonal point over to the diagonal point. Oh, you are so helpful, Zuzu. So helpful. And so again, I make a little crease at the bottom point and then slide my finger out left and slide my finger out right. Alright, unfold that. So now we should have two creases on the two diagonals. Now we're going to fold one of the points into the middle and the opposite point into the middle. It doesn't matter which of the four that you choose as long as you do the opposite ends to the middle. So we're going to point one of those into the middle and then starting crease and to the left and to the right, and then the opposite side into the middle. You are such a good kitty. So get the starting point, and to the left, and to the right. Oh, are you going to start eating things too? I did feed Zuzu, by the way, before all of this, so it's not like Zuzu is hungry right now. She is just wanting to participate. Alright, so once you've got that shape, we're going to fold it in half. So we're going to fold this long side over, sweetie, this long side. And you know that we're making a cat here? Is that why you're so excited? Alright, so see, you get those two lines to meet. And that crease should already be a crease, so that should be straightforward. Are you helping, sweetie? Alright, this next part is a little vague, so watch this a couple times so that you can get the sense of what we're trying to do. Alright, see how there's a point up here? We'll call it the top right corner if you have the wider side on the bottom and the narrower side on the top. So the top right corner is a juncture point. And then you've got another juncture point up here in the top left corner. What we're going to do is we're going to fold the bottom right point. We're aiming towards that top left point, but we are keeping in mind this as a pivot point. So we want to fold it so that that is a pivot point of this triangle. See how we're making a triangle here? There's a pivot point on that corner, and we're pointing the point of this triangle up at that. This does not need to be exact. This is not an exact science here. We're just making a rough shape, but we want to pull the triangle until it stops because that point has caught it, and so that it is pointing up there at that point place. And then see, if you point it that way, it doesn't point at that point. If you point it that way, it doesn't point at that point. So just sort of slide it left and right so that you've got this point pulled as far as it's going to go, and so that you're pointing generally at that place. So it doesn't need to be exact. Slide your finger over here and make that crease. Right, so that's one of the tricky points. Now what we're going to do is see how we've made this line pointing there. We're going to fold this piece of paper over onto that line. So one of the corners is this corner, one of the corners is this corner, and fold it along that line. And again, this does not need to be exact, so do not worry too much about exactly how this is folding. But that is the general impression we're going to get. Oh, what are you going to eat now? Zuzu. Alright, so unfold the longer one, unfold the shorter one. So now we've got two creases to help us with our guiding. I'm just watching what Zuzu is doing, but she is being okay. Alright, now if we open this part in here, see how there's sort of a triangle shape, and that there is a triangle shape up here. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to turn this a little so it's a little easier to see. We've got this line down here, and if we stick our finger down in here, this will flatten down like that. Okay, so we've got a crease in here and a crease in there. We're going to flatten down on those creases and bring the nose down along this center line that we've got. If we start our finger up there and then slide it one direction, slide it the other direction, what we are aiming for is, see how that's starting to make this cat head shape? So that's what we're aiming for. And again, you can make the cat head folded in different angles and different kinds of ears, so don't worry right now about making this exact. Just worry about getting the general shapes, and then as you practice and make more versions of it, you can customize it the way that you want to. But now we've got a general cat head shape. Right, so we're going to flip it over. Now we're going to work on the ears. Here, I'll turn one of these over so you can see the ears. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this side over here. It doesn't matter which one because we're going to do both, but we'll start on one side. Take one side and fold that so that side comes down onto the center line. All right, so see, we're going to rotate around and get that down to the center line, and then crease it. And then we're going to fold the point up to poke out to be an ear. So here's a frontward pointing one, and here's a backward pointing one. It doesn't matter exactly what angle you go at. You can choose if you want the ear to be pointing up or a little left or a little right. But what we're going to do is get that ear to poke out a little bit from behind the head. All right, now we're going to flip this spine part over to the opposite side, whatever opposite side you had from before. And now we're going to do the same thing with this side. So first we're going to rotate this top line down to the center line. All right. Now we're going to poke an ear out, and it can be the same as this ear, or it can be different than this ear. You know, cats have all sorts of different combinations, whatever you want. So just poke it out a little bit so that it pokes out as a little ear shape. So now we've got two ears, and right now the cat has a pointy head. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold the pointy part down so the cat no longer has a pointy head. And then we're going to tuck the point underneath whatever the exposed ear is, whether it's the left or right, depending on which way you made the tail go. So we're just going to squish the point under whichever ear is closest, and that's just to hold the head in place so it doesn't pop out. So that doesn't matter, you know, none of this really matters in how it exactly folds, because your cat can have big ears or little ears or all of that. So it doesn't really matter where you put the head tuck, it's just to keep the head from unfolding. Alright, so we're going to turn this back over, and you can see now how this is playing out. So I've got little ears on this one, I've got bigger ears on this one. Let's move this over. Got bigger ears on this one. So it's completely up to you how you want the ear shape to be on your particular cat. Right, next we're going to work on the nose. So all we do for the nose is we're going to fold the face part up a little And then we're going to fold the nose part down a little, and that's just to create a little contrast for the nose color. So first we're going to fold up, and again, it doesn't matter exactly where you do it. I like to do it about halfway up the face, but you can do it more or less. So just fold it up a little bit so that there's the whiter part, normally the back color of the origami paper. And then we're going to fold the tip down to this line here. And that contrasting color makes the nose bit. Alright, so see how we've now got a nose against the white, or whatever the background color is for your paper. So that makes the nose. And now we're going to make the tail. So if you look at these two cats, the way that the tail works is that we've got some portion of the paper here tucked underneath and then a little bit poking out. So the way that we do this is we're going to fold the tail over to the center line point. So I'll point it like this so you can see better. Right, so we're just folding in half to that center line and give it a good crease. Now this is one of the parts that may be a little tricky to people who are new with origami. What we're going to do, unfold it, is we're going to fluff out. See how there's two parts in there, the top part and the bottom part? We're going to push the tail in, and we're going to make it fold in the opposite direction along that crease that we just made. So right now it's pointing out. We're going to fold it in and make it point in. Again, we're going to that center line point, but the crease that used to be one direction is now going to be in the opposite direction. So here, let me fold this, and then if you look at it from the top, you can see how it's folded in, and it's folded in that same creasing fold. It's just that before it was an out fold and now it's an in fold. So that might take you a try or two. If you give it a nice strong crease, then it should reverse its fold pretty straightforward. Alright, so now we have no tail, and now we want to make a little bit of tail poking out that you can see in these other ones. So what we're going to do, and again, this is up to you how much of a tail you want to poke out. So we're going to take this tail piece that's on the inside of it, and we're going to stick it out. See how when we pull this around with our fingers, because of that crease, it'll naturally reverse the crease and point out a little. So you can make it stick out a little bit or a lot, whatever you prefer, and just press it down once you get it to the place that you want. So what this is doing, if you look at it from here, is that the paper is going in and then out again. So in and then out again to make the tail. So practice that a little bit until you get the hang of how to make it go in and then out again to get that tail piece. And there you have a kitten. And again, depending on how much you crease the ears or crease the nose or crease the tail, you can make it have a big nose or a little nose or big ears or so on. But this gives you the starting point, and then you can practice with it to be able to see what kind of kitten you like the best. And if you have big pieces of paper, you make big cats, and little pieces of paper, you have little cats. So let me know if you have any questions about making an origami cat or kitten.